It's a lot of fun hearing the good stories about running a business, right? The successes, the little breakthroughs, the fun times. And that's what we hear a lot because people like to focus on those. They're either feel-good stories or maybe it's like the marketing of, selling the dream or selling the idea of getting involved in something like e-commerce. But at least half of operating a business is stress, struggles, sometimes it's anxiety, and it's trying to put out all these little fires that are happening all the time. In this episode, we've got a guest who is going to talk about the brand that he runs on Amazon and off Amazon too, and some of the struggles that he's had over the past year, maybe 2 years, some of the lessons that he's taken away from that, and how he's moving forward now. It's going to be a great episode. Listen to the end. We'll see you in just a second. Hey everybody, and welcome to another episode of the AM/PM podcast. I'm Tim Jordan, and we are talking about e-commerce and business today. We talk a lot about strategies. We talk a lot about techniques. We talk a lot about traffic. We talk a lot about optimization. But we also like to talk about just good old-fashioned business, right? And part of business is figuring out how to overcome struggles, learning from our mistakes, figuring out what we tripped over last time so we can step over that speed bump or that pothole the next time, right? We've got a guest today, Paul Barron, who is kind of a friend of most of this audience. I think a lot of you at least would be familiar with him. He's been on a lot of podcasts in the space, done a lot of content, and he happens to be here in the office in the AM/PM World Headquarters on the 67th floor of AM/PM Towers. No, I'm just kidding. We're actually in the basement of a building downtown in Huntsville, Alabama, where the studio is, but he's here. And I think this is the first time we've had a podcast guest that was physically in this office, which is great because we bought 2 desk chairs that matched like a year and a half ago. And this is the first time that we've ever actually had to use both chairs. So momentous occasion. So welcome, Paul, and tell us about your brand.
Yeah. So like a lot of you, we took a course when we got started. But
selling on Amazon.
Selling on Amazon course, right? So Freedom Ticket, similar to that. Basically, I have a background in digital marketing. I have a background in a lot of things. You'd want to talk to me about anything, I can tell you. But
or he'll make something up.
Or I'll make something up. Yeah. Or Tim will make something up.
Or I'll make something better up.
But so I came into this space with a background in doing some digital marketing for brands, established brands, and my view of Amazon prior to getting started was basically arbitrage, and I didn't really understand why anybody would want to be a third-party seller on Amazon, because in my head it was a race to the bottom. But we signed up, we took this course, and we were identifying products, and with my experience in digital marketing and brand building, we narrowed down our search into 3 niches. It was baby products, outdoor products, and pet products, because we live in Colorado, love going outdoors, hiking, camping, that sort of stuff. We had just had a baby, and when we were doing our product research earlier in the year before, we had an issue with swimming with our son. He started going swimming, and new parents, you don't think about this when you're an adult, like what do you do with a baby swimming? Because they're they poop, right? Babies.
Now everybody pees in a pool.
Actually, there's a poll. I think it was over 60% of adults. I have to look at it again. Everyone pees in a pool. Adults pee in a pool.
Everybody pees in a pool, but not everybody poops in a pool.
No.
But babies could.
Babies could.
So you had a problem.
Right. Yeah. So we had a problem, and the typical solution is there's disposable swim diapers. That's what like little splashers or whatever by Huggies. And prior to having our son, I was on the cloth diaper bandwagon. I wanted to be that guy.
Cloth diapers were the worst. I know. That was the most horrible experience of my life.
You did it?
Oh, we did it for 6 months with our first kid, and it was a problem.
Yeah, so that was basically Rochelle's response, was we're not doing this. And I was like, no, but we could save so much money, and it's better for the environment, and I will wash them. And she's like, no, you're not going to be washing them. You'll wash them for 2 weeks, and then I'm going to be washing them. So sort of the concession was that somebody had given us a reusable swim diaper. And I was like, okay, this is cool, because then, how often are you going to use a diaper? Disposable, you use it once, kids in the water for 30 minutes, and you throw it away. So I was stoked about that, but the problem was this was a big brand that you could buy in Target. And well known, they kind of established the niche in the 90s. Problem was it was too tight, and it made him cry. And at the time, Bo, our son, was in the 20th percentile, so he was really, really small. And that was stuck in our heads when we were doing our product research. So Rochelle starts looking up, the opportunity with swim diapers. and felt like it was a decent opportunity. So we just went into it as almost like a stopgap product, because we were launching in the summer. And anyway, so that was how we originally started. I mean, we got into selling reusable swim diapers. Like now, it's extremely competitive. There's a lot more black hat stuff going on.
But you were really the first to take it to Amazon, right? And you had, my understanding is you had a fair amount of success. I know that even yesterday you were at a resort somewhere and you're selling like directly to like end consumers now, not just e-commerce. Yeah. And you've been doing that brand since how long?
2015.
Since 2015. So been in it for 6 years now.
Our first day was the first ever Prime Day. Incidentally,
you launched on the first ever Prime Day.
It wasn't planned. It just so happened that our inventory was in stock, and the images that we had were the garbage crap images your manufacturer gives you. Anyway, first ever Prime Day.
Nice.
Crazy.
So that's a little bit of kind of the history of Paul and the brand that he and his wife run. They've been doing it since 2015. But in this episode, we want to talk about what's happened recently. And I'm good friends with Paul. I've spent a lot of time with him. We do a lot of the conferences and events together, and we're around each other. And this year, Paul has been stressed. Yeah, maybe that's an understatement. But I like very specifically remember Paul not being this stressed before. And one of the problems that he's got going on right now is his brand of, reusable swim diapers has really taken a big hit over the past, 18 months? Yeah. Like 18 months, the business has been not deteriorating, but it's significantly slowed down, right?
Well, it's frustrating because you have like these double year growth that you project and then you stagnate. Yeah.
And there's a lot of reasons for that. Like people aren't traveling in COVID, and people aren't going to resorts, and people aren't going to public pools or hotels. So there's a decline there. There's some other things we're going to talk about in a second that have maybe had a little more direct impact. But the reason I asked Paul to speak today is because I know he struggled. I know he's, been very, very frustrated. I know that he's also public about his brand, which is great. Not a lot of people are. So he can speak specifically about it and kind of share some of his wisdom and experience to us. Not only what's going on, why he struggled, maybe at least a few components that struggled the past 18 months or so. And then we're going to talk about some of the lessons learned and moving forward. So you gave me a list of 3 items, Paul, that you kind of think were very significant in the depreciation or the slowdown of this brand. Trademark issues, logistics, and and a poopy diaper.
Diaper, that's true.
So we can talk about that. So hit us with the trademark issue here.
Yeah, so this would be like if I'm going back in time, oh man, back when we got started, there was another brand that was similar name in ours, but they sell christening gowns, and we're like, okay, there's no confusion there. There was no registered trademarks, no live trademarks at the time. And so that, like, in a nutshell, the trademark issues that we're having now could have been alleviated had we, once we launched and we realized that this was a good brand, a good product that could go the distance. Like, we don't just have swim diapers, we have other stuff, But basically, when we proved that this was solid, we should have registered a trademark right away. So if you're watching this or listening to this, and you're at that point and you've gone through the product research, you've validated that there's demand, that you believe that this can go to the distance, get your registered trademark now.
And the way trademarks work are they're product specific, category specific, right? So if you get a trademark for kitchen accessories and you start making golf cart tires, you can't use the same trademark for it. It doesn't protect you. Another thing about trademarks are, I believe some people get them too early. Right? Some people think, oh, I want to sell on Amazon. I'm going to create a cool product logo. I'm going to create a cool brand name. I'm going to get it all trademarked up, and then I'm going to figure out what I'm going to sell. Ugh. So Paul just made the point about like proof of concept. But Paul, what you're saying is some people wait too long. Right. They'll have a proof of concept. Yeah, and you waited too long. So like, why do you think that pause really hurt you?
Oh, not think, I know.
So why did that maybe not prioritizing the trademark once you had a proof of concept that you wanted to start this brand?
Yeah.
What happened there?
So what happened was the year following, 2016, there was a hotel chain in like North or South Carolina or something. It wasn't a chain, it's just like a single hotel. They have a boutique shop. At a corner of their shop, they had like Bow and Bell as a part of like, and that's what our brand name is, Bow and Bell Littles. And so there was something to that effect. Meanwhile, the christening gown company realized that their trademark had lapsed, and they didn't mean to let it lapse. It just happened. So sequence of events, this hotel chain files for and gets approved for the usage of their trademark name. Then it's crazy. It was like how it all happened. Trademark lapse for Baby Bow and Bell, which is the christening gown company. Meanwhile, we start in 2015. There's nothing in existence. A year later, we start getting all this press. We are Rachel Ray Show, Forbes magazine, all this stuff, and so we're like, oh, we should register our trademark. So we go in to start doing this. In that space, in that 1 year time, the hotel chain had gotten approved for their trademark. How trademarks work, I'm not a lawyer. This is my understanding.
This is not legal advice.
This is not legal advice. This is my understanding. It's like first right of refusal. Like you start using the name, that's your trademark. So they're using it publicly. So the christening gown company owned first right because they've been in existence since like the 90s or the 80s or something with the same name. It just so happened that there is lapse. In the meantime, this hotel company gets the name. Baby Bow and Bell is reapplying. So then they have to go through this, and we're third in line at this point. Okay, so what happens is the hotel and the christening gown company enter into a coexistence agreement, which again, not legal advice, but basically a coexistence is that you say, we believe there's no brand confusion, and we agree to coexist using a similar thing, right? So we're in this whole chain, and at the time, we would have had to go through two other entities, and it was just basically an issue that could have been a couple $100 is now like $20,000. Because now we have to go through, we got to get a coexistence agreement from the primary rights holder, which is Baby Bow and Bell. They seem amenable. Then we got to go to the hotel chain and say, hey, first rights give us this, and so that perpetuates down. Anyway, so that brings us to today, which goes back to the Poopy thing, which is one of the reasons why we can't, the Poopy swim diaper. So I can go into that now, but anyway, it's a very expensive tangle, and it's a pain in the ass. It's a giant headache, and so that's my advice. If you're one takeaway from this, prove your concept, make sure that it works. Don't get too early, don't wait too long, but as soon as you have that proof of concept, you get that trademark right away, because you don't want to get into a situation where you have 3,000 reviews, 3,500 reviews or something, and then you have to change your trademark because you can't get it.
So that's the problem is right now, and that's why this is affecting you, is because you essentially are being told you can't use your brand name.
Exactly.
So you've got to rebrand your company where you've got...
We either have to rebrand or pay at least $15,000 to $20,000, $30,000 in legal fees to get our brand name that we've been trading under and selling under since 2015.
So that hurts you with like brand registry and things like that.
Potential exit?
Yeah, trying to sell your company. Yeah. You don't have the ooh, that's a big problem. All right, so that's been a big headache, and I guess your biggest lesson learned from there is don't wait on that. Don't sit on that. Like get that done quickly, because that's actually an extremely big deal that can really screw up your business. All right, logistics was a second thing. Another reason for the headaches and feeling like you're kicked in your seat over the past 18 months. Now we know what's going on with the COVID supply chain, but how is this directly impacted, or what's been your exact situation logistics related with Bow and Bell Littles?
Yeah, so our stuff is we're completely opposite with most brands. Most brands are very like Q4 heavy, and our Q4 is really Q2.
Yeah, spring.
Q2 and spring, like, is really when it starts ramping up. Q1 starts to pick up. Q2 is nuts, bonkers, and starts tapering off. So we place our orders. And the challenging thing here is that when we're placing our orders, it's right after, for summer, it's right after Chinese New Year, which Chinese New Year always has that lead time longer because...
Yeah, it's like a month off in manufacturing and shipping.
Right. So it was just a sequence of crazy events. Like we went through, we designed new packaging, and we didn't look at volume and like case volume, and also like filling the entire container. That was one issue.
Yes, you weren't maximizing your...
So we went from like a shipping cost of about $8,000 a container to $24,000 for this same exact units because the packaging was changed. But then also, I don't know, there's just some crazy delays. So the shipment that was supposed to be delivered start of June, end of May, got in like second or third week of September. Yeah. And that's one of those things that's like...
So you were stocked out for like all of your busy season?
Almost. Not like our primary stuff was stocked out, and then we had like black hat attacks too. It's been a year, man.
So a lot of your stuff was stocked out, and then because you were running so close on inventory, you couldn't do any sort of big sales, you couldn't do promotions, you couldn't really externally market this stuff because you would have just run out of stock anyway. So logistics jacked you up. Was that something that you could have done differently, or is there anything you could have done differently? Because we know we couldn't project the cost increasing, and we couldn't project an increase in lead time, but was there anything you could have done differently, like lessons learned?
Well, Rochelle does all the logistics stuff. So Rochelle's my wife, business partner. She's a smart one. I just do crazy stuff and go to events. So people know me. They don't know her. They should know her. So she handles all the logistics. And what we've been trying to do is get on a system where we're ordering smaller quantities more frequently. But I don't really know that we could do anything differently. I mean, really the only thing that I could say is that if we had the money, if we could be able to sit on inventory in our local storage facilities, that would be what we would want to do differently. But that's just a capital issue, you know, and we're all, if you guys are like me, when I started, I was working 2 jobs. Yeah. I was working nights as a waiter. I was trying to start a digital marketing agency during the day. You know, I've done that on this, I think, Serious Seller podcast. So you can find that somewhere. But point is, it's a capital issue, undercapitalization, and so that's why you want things like, I don't know, sellers funding, you know, stuff like that. But I don't know that we could do anything differently, other than maybe trying to take out some money last year and try to order sooner rather than like assuming that our lead times are accurate. So maybe the one bit of advice would be, if your suppliers are quoting you a certain thing, triple that, maybe quadruple it, because expect it to be at least 2 to 3 times, if not 4 times longer than they say it's going to be. Because I would rather have a lot of inventory coming in early than be in a stock out situation, because then you have a cascading effect of rank issues. You're going to have to go through and start driving more external traffic, make sure that you're getting more sales to boost that algorithm signal again. Because if you have a stock out issue, Amazon doesn't know. To Amazon's eyes, the algorithm, it could be that you've just discontinued that product.
Correct.
It could be any number of things. So it's not generally detrimental if you're out of stock for less than 30 days. But in situations like this, it's a pain in the ass.
So another really big problem you had was a Poopy situation. So you sell reusable swim diapers, right? So these aren't thrown away, but kids are pooping in them, right? So talk to me about that. This one. This is the best story, by the way.
So this dovetails into that brand registry issue because of, anyway. So this is the reason why we redesigned our packaging. So one of the reasons why we redesigned our packaging is last year in July, Amazon had unintentionally shipped out used swim diapers.
So what was happening was a client was a customer was buying your products. They return it. The packaging looks unopened, and Amazon puts it back in regular inventory and ships it out.
Yeah, exactly. And like, you know, we have all the settings set to send it back to us, but we all know that doesn't always happen, right? And here's the thing: it's just a simple mistake. There's a warehouse worker. Have you been? You know, if you go to an FC tour, it will blow your mind how much inventory. So I'm not mad at the warehouse worker. It's whatever. It is what it is. The thing that annoys me is I'm annoyed at this customer, because whoever this was, the child shat in the diaper.
Which is supposed to happen. I mean, you design a product to be pooped in.
Bare minimum, wash it.
Yeah, and they didn't even wash it.
I don't know. It was brown.
They let this kid take a dump in the diaper.
Send it back.
So they put it back in the packaging and repackaged it in a way that looked like it wasn't open. So they're very intentional. Not once.
It happened twice. And the reason I know it happened...
Not the same customer, though.
Not the same customer, because the first time it happened, we got an email from the customer. And they were like, you know, mad, obviously. And I was like, oh my gosh, we are so sorry.
Oh, this customer wasn't the one that...
They left a review. That was it. The reason why I know it's...
you a rolling brown out, you know, package.
The reason why I know it was twice, because the other person left a review, as I would have too.
So this happened twice.
Yeah. In the same.
So one of them emailed and said, "Hey, I ordered one of your products on Amazon, and there's skid marks in it,
and I want my money back."
And the other one just returned it and left a review that said,
"This is disgusting. Don't buy from this company." Basically.
Oh no.
Yep. And the funny thing is, I've been public about our brand, and Rochelle thinks that that's one of the reasons why we get black hat attacks. So if you're listening to this and you're my competitor, just give me a call.
Yeah, don't take a big steamy one in one of Paul's reusable diapers and send it back.
I love competition. Competition makes everybody better, but being a black hat cheater does not make you better. It just makes you a loser.
So that review probably got upvoted.
80
upvotes.
positive. At least 80, 85. And Rochelle thinks it's
so
because...
what that did is it moved
to the top. It's the most helpful review.
Oh, the most helpful review is that they sent me a hazmat package.
And here's the thing is that Amazon, to the very, like, it's a very good policy that they don't remove reviews because, come on.
Yeah, otherwise you'd pick and choose and you'd never get a fair review situation.
Ever. Yeah. And so the thing is that because they don't remove reviews, they don't have anyone
that can make that decision.
anyone that you can talk to that, even though, like Dave said, yes, we acknowledge this is a fulfillment issue, they can't remove the reviews. So if you work at Amazon and you have the power to help me, please call me. Because, like,
slide into Paul's DMs.
Not like
he's got a poopy situation he needs fixed.
Don't slide. Don't.
Yeah. Continue. All right. So that obviously affected your sales specifically.
Yeah.
Right? Because now the most helpful review is that we've got poopy diapers being mailed to us.
So how we're managing this issue. That's one of the reasons why we did the packaging, right? Because the packaging that we redesigned is we have it designed to be specifically under 0.7 inches on the highest. It's like 0.65 inches, right? It's exactly within specs for the small. So it made it smaller
to reduce the shipping and fulfillment cost. Okay.
Yeah, because up until that point, it was in a poly bag with an insert, right?
Yeah, so it was pretty bulky. And
it wasn't that. It's not bulky, but the way that the way that they do the Cubiscan. Yeah, their Cubiscan system works like this. Is if they were scanning this would appear to be what, 1.5 inches high.
Yeah, but instead you could smash it.
You could smash it down. Yeah. But the Cubiscan uses infrared, and so it picks up the highest thing. So if there's any air in a poly bag and it's like 1 inch high, then they're going to put you
in a larger category.
I mean, you have to think automation, right? Like, orders of magnitude. You're not going to have every warehouse employee being like, oh yeah, I can fit this.
So you change the packaging to make it smaller and less expensive to fulfill, but also where nobody could reseal it and look.
Exactly. So you have to destroy the packaging. You have to open it up to get to the diaper so that now people, like, it's very apparent that it has been opened. So
that's a good lesson to learn too, is one, make sure your settings are for Amazon to send you back any returned items, even if this one did slip to the crack.
And understand mistakes happen.
Yeah, but then also make sure that if your product is sensitive to being reused, right, that it definitely has packaging that you cannot mistake for unopened if it's been opened. Now, all of these things have led to a significant decrease in sales this year.
Well, not significant. It's 12% lower, but that is, I mean, based on our projections were that we would be about 2.5 million this year.
So 12% lower is way bigger than 12% lower, because if you're building a company that's moving up and you're expecting a certain growth rate,
I'm trying to stay positive.
Not only are you staying on a plateau, but you're decreasing and losing that growth. Right. Now, everybody right now talks about selling your businesses, right? Everybody wants to exit, and everybody wants to exit on that period of time of the largest growth, right? You were thinking about exiting your business.
Yeah, we still are, and the problem is now that we're looking at, instead of next year, we're 2 to 3 years out now, because we need to be able to show that we're having this upward trajectory. And it's just, that's the thing that, like, yeah, I was like, when we talked, I was like pissy pants Paul, like that one week, and you're like, man, you're not doing too well, are you? I was like, you just have to have a pissy pants moment every now and again, but you gotta have good friends that be like, okay, well, stop being a whiny.
Yeah. So it not only did it affect really the time span that you were projecting out until you could sell this business.
It's forcing pivots.
Yeah, but it also really hurt your asset value.
Yep.
Right? Because you can put a number, hey, my business should be worth this amount right now, and now you're like, well, it's worth a third of that.
Yeah.
So even though your sales didn't decrease substantially, the value of your business substantially decreased, right? Yeah. Now you work with your wife, and this is your income, right? Like what you do in e-commerce is in your income, and you guys are stuck together, working together, living together, raising kids together, changing diapers together, all this stuff. This has been a tough year. Mm-hmm. at what point do you decide, all right, we're going to keep forcing through this and not completely pivot?
Well, here's the thing, is that you choose to be successful. It's a choice. You choose. You are going every day as an entrepreneur. You have to make a choice that you're going to be successful. And when we started, I alluded to the fact I was working 2 jobs. We put our inventory order on a credit card in the course. Thank God for Freedom Ticket now, you don't have to pay, right? So we put the course $5,000 plus our inventory on a credit card. So my option was succeed. That was the option. There was no other option. And that's still my option, because the other option is we lose the house. And that's not an option. I will not lose the house. So that's why I was going to resorts in Miami selling. We have $400,000 of inventory sitting in a container on our property. We need to move that inventory. So here's the thing, is that from the get-go, my goal and our goal is we are building a brand. I wanted, and I still want to build $1 billion brand. Now, that's really very aspirational right now.
That's pretty optimistic.
It is very optimistic. But this may be silly, and it's my mom. Shoot for the stars. You might, if you hit, you're going to miss the land. Shoot for the whatever. Shoot for the moon.
If you shoot for the stars and miss, you still land on the moon.
Yeah, whatever.
Something like that. Yeah.
My thing is that I would much rather have a high goal that seems unattainable, because it's going to make me work harder. And if I miss that goal, and I'm still going to be more successful than if I had a lower goal that I felt I was comfortable with doing. And as entrepreneurs, we have to make this choice to be successful. You have to make that choice that when you have the crap, when the poop hits the fan.
There's so many poop analogies in here. When the poo hits the fan.
When the poo hits the diaper, that hits the fan.
Yeah.
You gotta think, okay, what am I gonna do? Well, we're just gonna muscle through it. And we're working with, getting our listing reinstated on Amazon, so that I didn't even say the black hat issue. We had somebody categorize this as an adult product, and that goes back to the trademark issue, because Amazon is saying you're not brand registered, so we can't put you back, even though the fact that we've been in baby the entire time, it's a brand registry issue. And so that's going back to well, if we would have done this right, 6 years ago, this would be less of an issue now. But my point is that I've made mistakes. I'm learning from those mistakes. And if you fail to learn from mistakes as an entrepreneur, you will be out of business. You will go out of business. And there's always those things that there will be the deciding points of whether you're going to quit or go on. And if so, you have to understand that, first of all, if you decide that you're going to quit, you need to look at, say, okay, is that a good option? Is this an option? And for me, the option is we're not going to quit, because we have a goal in mind that we want to exit our brand. And if we do that now, we are significantly undervaluing our stuff. So all that to say, the movements that we're making we're getting into retail. We have distributors lined up for, I told you the whole thing with Mexico. We've got this potential thing with a high-end retail in Mexico. We're working on that. We've got potential for Target and Target.com. We just got accepted into Walmart Fulfillment Services. I've been doing sales calls, but really I'm going to just hire sales agents to go to these resorts, because over this last year, we've started getting into more resorts. So all that to say, we're not throwing in the towel, but we're doing what I have always wanted to do, and this is just forcing us to do it better, which is diversify, focus on other channels, focus on, Walmart, focus on, we're on Fair.com, all these other channels. But that's my point, is that I don't want to sit on a one-legged stool. I don't want, Amazon to come in, whether it's a black hat thing or some honest mistake or whatever. I want my income to be from multiple streams. And you could do that with one business. We have multiple businesses, but yeah, that's what we're doing in this one.
And I think that the reason I wanted Paul to talk about this is just to show a few things. One is everybody struggles, right? Even guys that are, experts in the industry that are, laughing, having a good time, seeing the world is awesome. They're having poopy days too. They're having crappy times as well. We're like little 12-year-olds with all the poop jokes in this episode. And I'm sure once the camera turns off, they'll probably get
even worse.
Even worse. But the point is, a lot of times we set ourselves up for failure because we look at what we think reality is. Like we perceive that, oh, all these other people are so successful. These other people have it so easy. All these other people aren't going through the struggles that I am and having the challenges and being frustrated like I am. And everybody does. Like if you ever meet someone that's like, oh, this was easy, punch them in the face, call them a liar, and quit listening to their crappy content, because it's just not true, right? Like we've sat around with some of the most, I don't know, recognized, I guess, experts in the industry that like, you know, I've had adult men in the space that a lot of you would know, like crying, telling me stories, you know, of the stuff they've gone through, like legit. And it's just a really good reminder that if you're struggling, if you're frustrated, if you're discouraged, like you're doing something right. Yeah. And I've said the analogy before, like babies don't just decide to stand up and start running. They have to try and then fall and try and fall and try and fall and try and fall. And then they'll walk and then they'll fall and then they'll fall and they'll fall and then they'll run. Right. You have to do that. But the other thing is, every struggle, every hurdle, every potential barricade gives us an important lesson, right? Paul will never make that mistake about trademarks again. It's never going to happen. Paul's never going to go back to not understanding how utilizing capital can help his business. Paul's never going to go back to a situation where he's not utilizing different traffic sources and different distribution channels, right? So keep listening to content, keep listening to other people that have been through some of these struggles, and listen, right? Like listen and pay attention, because as we all continue to share our struggles and share our successes, even, like that's just value for you guys. So I commend, we're about 30-minute mark, right? So if you're listening to this, I know you've at least listened to this episode 30 minutes, and I commend you for that. You have to keep doing that. You have to keep learning. Otherwise, you're going to miss a great opportunity. So Paul, thank you for being on, and thank you for sharing that.
Absolutely, man.
If someone wanted to find out more information about you, they could go to
The Chat Agency.
thechatagency.com, where he is for hire to do, not him, his team. He has a company that's for hire to do external traffic and all sorts of cool stuff for your e-com brand. So anything else?
No, that's it. I just got to say that, no, keep at it. If you're failing, you're winning. Failure is essential to success. Like you have to fail and just keep at it. Hey, if you like this, I don't know, let's share your stories.
Yep. Thank you all for listening again. If you would, leave us a review on Spotify, podcast, whatever you're listening to. If you're watching this on YouTube, hit that thumbs up button, subscribe, and share this around. If you know anybody that needs to hear this, if you're in a mastermind program, if you're in any sort of communities, please share this around with them. And we appreciate y'all. We'll see you on the next episode.